Hey everyone, it's Jack here, TalkNorwichCity. Welcome back to another video. I'm sure we are all wanting updates on the head coach. It feels like we're in a bit of no man's land at the moment with Norwich City. The season has finished quite a long while ago in footballing terms, and Norwich City still don't have a head coach. Jack Wilshere is by contract still at the football club. We don't really know the future of a lot of our players. These couple of weeks are really unsettling. As a football fan, because you know a fresh season looms, yet you don't really know how that's going to look like. And for Norwich City in particular, not knowing who our head coach is leading into this pre-season is strange. But let's try and figure out if we've got any more clues as to who that might be. Now, in the last kind of head coach update, we'll call it, there were a couple of names being linked. It was Gary O'Neill, it was Steve Cooper, it's Pep Lijnders. All of those names have gone relatively quiet. I think out of those three, Pep Lijnders was probably the most prominent in terms of legitimacy, in terms of Norwich City's interest. Gary O'Neill has spoken to Norwich City as well, so there was something in that. I think Steve Cooper was sounded out. I don't think Norwich City will be progressing in that route. And we also spoke very briefly about Russell Martin, who I think was open for a conversation at Norwich City, and for whatever reason Ben Napper chose not to have that conversation. So it didn't really enlighten us too much. There have been a few more names linked with the club. We shall go through those. I just want to quickly thank Match Bingo for being today's video sponsor. They are a really brilliant app. They've been on the channel multiple times before. They combine bingo and football into one brilliant app. They've paid out over £200,000 in winnings since they launched. Cheap to enter. Really fun for following along the games. They track Premier League, Champions League, EFL. They've got darts on there as well. It's a fun and interactive way to follow along the football matches that you're watching. You can scan the QR code now to download the app, or the link is in the description. Match Bingo, I'm on there a lot. Come over there and play along with me. The three, I guess, names that we'll discuss today. Now, Liam Manning has been discussed before and is well known to Norwich City fans. He has links to Norfolk. He was a former season ticket holder of Norwich City. I don't think he was actually a Norwich City fan, and I think his persuasion might be more blue-tinted than yellow. But he has links to Norfolk regardless. He's, of course, managed Bristol City for the last couple of seasons, did incredibly well there. This season was undone by a strong Sheffield United side in the playoff semi-finals. They lost that game 6-0 on aggregate in the end. But he's young. He's had an impressive managerial career, although still early days. And I think Norwich City like the look of Liam Manning. Now, you've got, with a lot of all kind of in contract managers, you've got the compensation issue. And I don't think Norwich City will be wanting to get themselves caught up in a compensation situation again. We obviously spent a lot of money on getting rid of Daniel Farker and Dean Smith, and we paid money to get Johannes Torup in the club. So we have been stung from a compensation perspective multiple times in the past, but ultimately it's a devil that you kind of have to dance with if you're looking for a manager in contract. And logic says that if the managers are good, then they will be in a job. And I think the time it's taken Norwich City already to try and identify a manager probably highlights to me that who they want or who they're tracking down is still in a job. So Liam Manning, we kind of know all about. We shall leave that name there. The other two are kind of fresh names on the list and have been reported by various journalists, and they are Brian Priske and Christian Titz. Yes, I have said that right. That's Christian Titz. I think the EDP went something along the headlines of like tits up for Norwich City. So we shall have some fun with that over the coming months if that rumour solidifies it somewhat. Brian Priske is probably the name that will raise eyebrows the most. He most recently managed at Feyenoord. He's had a pretty good track record up to now in terms of clubs he's managed. He's been at Midtjylland, Royal Antwerp, Sparta Prague. Feyenoord had a illustrious kind of playing career across multiple divisions. And I think when people saw this name, they were like, oh, okay, like this is an interesting one for Norwich City. Now, I'm led to believe that he's spoken to Norwich City in the past, not necessarily looking for a managerial job, but he has been on the radar of Norwich City for quite some time. So keep an eye on Brian Priske. And the other one, Christian Titz, who's been at Bundesliga 2 side Magdeburg, and has done a fairly good job. They're fifth this season in Bundesliga 2. He's got a kind of track record for improving sides. Second division Germany. We know all about those lower divisions in Germany, thanks to the Daniel Farke reign, and actually the quality runs deep in those German leagues. So I think Brian Priske is the one that, as I say, will raise eyebrows, and ultimately I still think that the next Norwich City head coach will probably be a name that we haven't even discussed yet. It is now May the 23rd. I believe that Johannes Torup last year was hired on May the 30th. So we're a week from now. It feels like we're starting to gather some form of momentum. You've obviously got the Premier League season ending this weekend. You've got the Championship playoff final on Monday. So domestic leagues are starting to wrap up across the continent. And I think that's when you then enter a period where this will start to turn frantic. It's slightly disconcerting as a football fan, as a Norwich City fan, to be kind of almost sleepwalking through weeks going, there's still no news on the head coach. There's still no news on the head coach. You know, a couple of weeks after the season has finished. I don't think that's alarming. I don't think that's uncommon. As I say, Johannes was kind of brought in on the 30th, so that's still a week from now. I wouldn't be surprised if this rumbles past May into June. I think that is very much a possibility. Look, we've still got quite a long time until pre-season starts. Most of the players are on holiday and won't be back for a couple of weeks. So this next appointment is huge for Ben Napper. It's absolutely massive. As I've said before, you can get one managerial appointment wrong. If you get two wrong, then I think the people above Ben Napper will start to be looking and going, does this guy know what he's doing? I like Ben Napper. I think he's switched on. I think he does need support around him. I'd like to see maybe a chairman or a CEO or something along those lines just to give some form of guidance. I think he's quite exposed and has a lot to do. This summer is going to be busy. Ultimately, Norwich City need to find... well, easier said than done. Norwich City need to find a manager who plays a similar style to what Johannes Torup did, because a lot of the early recruitment in that era was based heavily around a philosophy, and ultimately with a sporting kind of director system, you are building a system where you can just almost cookie cutter drop in players rather than it's a system based around an individual. This is a system where individuals can be dropped in and out of as long as they suit the system, and that means that you've got consistency. Doesn't matter who the striker is or the head coach is or the sporting director is, you're following as a club a system. This next appointment is huge. We have to get it right, and that will take time. It's clear that we're sounding out a lot of people. We're looking at a lot of people. This short list was actually quite a long list, and we're starting to narrow down now. I still haven't really seen a name that I'm blown away by. Ultimately, I think we have to understand we are a mid-table Championship side, and Leicester are looking for a head coach. Southampton are looking for a head coach. So even if you're wanting to come to the second tier of English football, you've got two clubs already that probably are more appealing than Norwich City. Now, this isn't me playing it down. Norwich is still a big job. The infrastructure is good. There is financial power. There is already a squad here that can be, I think, competitive. But we have to understand the last few seasons of football hasn't been very good, and that does lower the potential of who you're looking for. So Gary O'Neill, Steve Cooper, Pep Linders, Liam Manning, Brian Priske, Christian Titz, whoever it might be, I think whoever comes in, you're going to be going, really? But we're going to have to get behind them. And I think we've learned a lot of lessons from Johannes and what went wrong and what needs to change. and from a recruitment level, from a playing style level, from a man management level. And hopefully this next person that comes in has looked at what's gone before him and can potentially change that. Keep an eye on the names mentioned today. Keep an eye on the names mentioned in the last head coach update. And don't be surprised if more names unfold so far. I've heard very little in terms of concrete rumours. So I'm staying well out of this now. I've been burnt already saying that I was convinced that Jack Wilshere was going to be the next permanent head coach. That didn't happen. This is going to be a really interesting week or so, I think. I think next week could get busy. Let's put it that way. Thanks very much for watching, everyone. Let me know, as always, who you would like to see as the new head coach. Do any of the names mentioned today stand out to you? Have you watched much Titz ball? Have you watched much Prrisk ball? I would love to hear if you have. And also a big thank you to our video sponsors, Match Bingo. Head over there, download the app, QR code, link in the description. It's bingo, it's football. Thanks very much, everyone. Bye-bye.